What's wrong with you people?
I'm not appearing on anybody's show with this retard.
Nothing wrong with me. It's you people.
I'm not appearing on anybody's show with this retard.
What's wrong with you people?
I'm smart and I want respect.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Welcome to my quiet, lovely, beautiful, peaceful, affordable, comfortable, and sunny retirement community affectionately known as...
Del Boca Vista.
Thank you, Frank. This is the new and reset, truly independent, non-profit, non-aligned, informative, semi-entertaining, and non-monetized live Docs Report. Docs Report encompasses citizen journalism with commentary opinion on topics that interest me. I am a student of truth and self-discovery that has improved my daily living and will continue to do so. The Docs Report can be found on YouTube, X, and Rumble. Email docsreport@fastmail.com. Thank you for viewing, liking, subscribing, following, and live commenting. Above all, in this plane of existence, one thing you can count on, but you must be what? Keep spiritually centered. That's right. Comments already? Well, good. We like comments. Chili Badger, hello, world. Hope you're all groovy today. Man, something hit the door last night. Let's give the weather before I forget. See, I got a graphic for you, too. Hang on. Where's the graphic? Here it is. There's the graphic. And today it's 80, well, currently right now it's 89 degrees Fahrenheit. That would be what? 32 degrees Celsius, humidity 49%, wind 2 kilometers per hour. That would be 1 mile per hour. And look at this week. Now, I hope it's correct. I hope we hit the rainy season. But those percentages, 35, may or may not rain, but every day. So I ran the water this morning because you never know. It's not going to rain today. And the lawn just will burn up. It's nice and green now, and what happens, the Gulf gets warmed up and the clouds are formed and it comes over Florida. Now, it's hit or miss in Central Florida. So that's really for the entire state. I can get rain at 10% if that one little cell just comes over. Okay, get rid of that. Back to that. And the money shot. There's the money shot. So we got a lot to cover today. We're going to talk, do that. Well, anyway, I was saying something hit my door last night. It woke me up. It was in that perfect, when you get that REM sleep, early morning, just my feet finally have stopped the insect bites. When I go outside, I boot up now in socks. It's just not worth it. I had these crummy beach shoes that were getting old, and I think something was in those. I just threw them all out. That's it. Done with that. So it's terrible when it's on your feet. But anyway, those are healing up, so much better. but something hit the door or the window. Something crashed. It's got to be the raccoon because he moved the rock again. And I don't know why he would do that. The one that succulent, you see the frog lower left, and then that succulent out in the outside the cage. There's a rock in front of that thing, and he'll drag it over. And the only thing, a bird couldn't drag a rock. That has to be a raccoon. So let's see. Oh, we're going to talk. I'm doing the bike prep. I'm prepping my bike. I was almost going to go out today, or I may even do it in the morning. I had too much to do. I just got the bedding washed, and I had stuff lined up, had to get done. And the last thing I got to do is I got to find my gear, my reflective vest. I got the GoPro mount, excuse me, all set up. Hang on, cough button. Where's the cough button? So I'm going to hook the camera on. But speaking of GoPro, got to show you something. Just for those that are interested, and I'll give you like a little itty-bitty review. Now, this is what I have. I have the GoPro 10, Hero 10. And so the mount that came with the bicycle mount came, there's these little flaps on the GoPro that fold down, and they have the screw hole, and then they have the adapters. Well, you put them in the adapters. And a lot of times the screw cap is attached to the adapter, but in this case it's not. And they gave you one screw nut. So it's like, I got to get some of those things because, one is just not going to cut it if you lose something, right? So I'm going all over the frickin' place. Finally, I had to measure it. I do have a caliper thing to measure. So this is what you want to get. It's a M5. It's a metric 5 with a thread pitch of 0.8 millimeters. I went on to Amazon and I got 35 of them for $7 or $5, whatever it was. Instead of going to Lowe's, the hardware, and this guy said it was 3/8. It's not 3/8, but I didn't know what it was. I mistakenly said 1/4 inch because that's what the tripod mount is. That's a 1/4 inch with a pitch of 20 or something like that, 0.20. So anyway, I found the right one, got them ordered, so I got a bunch of those. So I'm all set up. I charged up the GoPro, but the GoPro is pretty cool. But it's not for streaming. It's for filming short bursts. It's going to be great on the bicycle. I can get it if I'm moving and it cools off. And also, it doesn't give you one MP4 file. It gives you like a series of them. They're back to back to back to back, but I guess that's how it works. So, you can add it. If you can get a deal on one, you don't have to get the latest and greatest, but it seems to be pretty stable. And the standard view video, it looks good, but it's got cinema, it's got 4K. But interesting device. So, I guess I recommend it. What are we doing? No, get rid of that. Hang on. There we go. All right. So let's get that out of the way. I hate to admit it, I bought a knife. I bought a frickin' knife, folding knife. Let me give you that. I'm not going to tell you what it is. See if you can guess. Until I get it, then I'll show it. Let's see, where is my folder? Gear, knives, online purchases. Here it is. What did I get? There it is. Why did I get this particular knife? Well, first of all, it was on sale, and it's an exclusive. It's for every day. It's a folder. It's manual, a pocket knife. I like the blade style. It was a drop point. It has a plain edge. The opening action, it's a manual KVT ball bearings. Opens with a flipper. And if I told you the name of the lock, that would give it away. But it's not a, the inside, it's not an internal lock, it's something else. It's new for this company. Let's see, and it's also got, let's see, it's small, so it's not, like a weapon so much. Its a blade length is only 3.2 inches. The blade material, that's another reason I got it, was M390 steel, and it has it's a finish coating, black PVD coating with satin grinds. The blade thickness, 2.8 centimeters. The closed length is 4.4 inches. Now the weight is 2.8 ounces. And it was released just this year. So I bought the thing, what the heck. And I've got a couple knives I'm never going to use. They're too big, so what I'm going to do is get them sold. Comments, here we go. No, it's not a Swiss Army. It's a modern folder. But it's from a brand really that is not known for premium steel. The M390s is like a super steel. So, and now they have an M4, but this thing is actually an automatic knife. And I checked, they want me to sign some form online, and I'm not military, so I gotta make sure this is okay for civilians too. And I checked the Florida law, anything under 4-inch, you can have an automatic knife, and you don't need a concealed carry permit. You can open carry too. If it has a certain size blade, you can open carry the thing. So it's not a big deal. So I told you about my knife, and we're gonna have clips today. Well, we're gonna have a MAGA minute, and I got some. I'm always checking into the UFO stuff. And first of all, we gotta talk about some of this. It's called drama. I'm not really discussing the Archieverse, or Archie himself. However, that termite situation, I did notice that, or I did hear of that. Your homeowner's policy, at least in Florida, when I got here, they had a termite bond, BOND, and it's for WDO, wood destroying organisms. So what the homeowner before me did, and previous owners, is you have the inspection. It's a pest control company. They issue a bond. I guess it's a form of insurance. So they come out to the house, they inspect. If they don't find anything, then they will treat the home underneath the foundation, and then for $100 a year, $120 a year, they give you a bond to where they find anything in the future that you didn't bring into the house. So if it's just nature, the termites come into your property, they pay for everything. But if you go to one of these swap meets and buy some termite-infested piece of furniture and you put it in your garage and they find that, then they're not going to pay. So, but it is a separate policy. It's a bond, and then every year they come out, and I chat with the guys and see what's up and what I got to look for the termites. And he said, well, the groundwater, when it rains, you got those long spouts, so I get the water away from the house. He says that's good. And they go up in the attic and they go into the closets and they're looking, so when the 9-year-old was looking at dry rot, it was termites. I mean, he doesn't have the money. You got to get that fixed, or the home is unsellable, unless he's just going to walk away from it. He's pulled enough money out, the HELOC stuff, but it's not worth anything if the termites eat it to the ground. Now it has no value. So, but it is I'm sure Australia, you can get a bond or a pest control company, and they'll issue a bond every year, or you have to renew it with the inspection, and then you pay the premium. So, but a 9-year-old's not thinking like that. He's more interested in some watch that's going to fix him, or something else. So I would like to discuss this nonsense going around these other streams, the spin-offs, the different channels. And this is the reason, it's just, it's hard to explain. It's really not drama. It's chaos. It's mayhem. It's people speaking over each other, and and I'm not going to mention names, but, if you send money anywhere to these channels, it's gone. I mean, they can do whatever they want with it. and you're dealing with alcoholics and dry alcoholics and irresponsible people and low character people. It's just the facts. So they may agree to anything as long as you send the money, it's gone. But you really got to blame yourself. If you give the money, I mean, you started all the problems, right? Well, they should have done this, and then everybody, it's chaos. And you go on these streams, and they're talking over each other, and there's a lot of people that get online. It's just to disrupt. They're disruptive. That's all they do. They enjoy it, but nobody else really enjoys it. But how do they get on the streams? Why don't they just get kicked off the streams? Because it's money. They figure that's the only way they can get people to super chat is if there's chaos going on. And then their mental health suffers. Okay, but you asked for it. If you need the money that bad, get a job. Especially younger, but I'm talking anybody, any age. If you've got to have the income, get a job. You can work at a call center and make more than you're making online. But they've learned, and then why associate? I would put up a firewall between the channels, really, or just to let one guest on at a time. Just have a conversation and then boot them. But some people, they get on, they're just disruptors. And if these same personalities, I'm not talking about the channel creators themselves or the content creators themselves, but the personalities that come on. If you were to run into them at the fitness center or at the coffee shop, you wouldn't listen to two seconds to them. They're disruptors. But for a reason, you've got to leave them on. You got to satisfy Tanzil. I mean, that's the guy behind everything because he's got the money. It's all about the money, and these guys will sell their soul for a couple bucks. And their mental health. They'll just let it go for that. Okay, so let's see, where are we at? What else I got to say on it? I was just watching and it was like, this is not drama, this is chaos. And you're not going to fix people by giving them money or helping them out. You're not here, like I enjoy the technology. I like the social aspects of it and giving people a view and, vlogging. But if it's just for the money, but it can't be because some channels just never make the money they want. They think they should deserve it, but they don't even get the money. So they're doing it for other reasons too, not just for the money. But the ones that are doing it for the money, they let anybody on. Doesn't matter. Chaos, mayhem. Well, let's get the politics out of the way. How about a MAGA minute? Let's do a MAGA minute.
Hey everybody, happy Friday. It was another very busy week here at the White House with President Trump. Let's go through it for the MAGA minute. This week, President Trump visited Capitol Hill to bring the historic One Big Beautiful Bill over the finish line. This bill is going to put more money back in your pockets. It's going to keep your communities safe, deliver the largest middle-class tax cut in American history, fund deportations and the completion of the border wall, and it's going to kick 1.4 million illegal aliens off of your taxpayer-funded benefits. Also on the legislative front, the president signed the First Lady's sponsored Take It Down Act, ensuring protections for young people who are targets of malicious deepfakes and personal attacks on social media. President Trump also attended the Make America Healthy Again Commission's release of its landmark report, which exposes key factors contributing to childhood chronic diseases and points to a path forward to make our children healthy again. The president hosted the White House's annual Take Our Sons and Daughters to Work Day celebration. President Trump also announced an implementation plan for the Golden Dome to protect our nation from wide-ranging global missile threats. He also hosted the South African president at the White House and signed executive orders to start a nuclear renaissance in the United States. The president also hosted a law enforcement event in the Oval Office and awarded the first ever Medals of Sacrifice to 3 heroic police officers. And finally, gas prices have dropped this Memorial Day to their lowest price in more than 20 years. You're welcome, America. Wishing you a blessed Memorial Day weekend, and we will see you for next week's MAGA Minute.
Memorial Weekend. Well, thank you to all the veterans out there. They got flags everywhere at Del Boca Vista. And it's just another Monday. I mean, I'm going to be hitting the fitness center. Speaking of the fitness center, I had somebody ask something about my workout. So I'm going to share with you my 2-day workout for a 71-year-old. It's so day 1, Monday, Thursday. Day 2 is Tuesday, Friday. Now this is not for everybody, but I recommend you write it down because you end up with surgery or something. You get back to the fitness center and you don't remember the settings or what you did, and anyway, what I do is a full stretching drill. Oh, I was happy to see the Medicare services, Centers of Medicaid, Medicare, putting out drink water, push the water, and they listed a bunch of stuff what it's good for. Anyway, okay, full stretching drill, and I could break that down further, but you got to stretch. It's good for the back. Arms and legs, so Monday to Thursdays, I do 60 continuous bench leg raises, knee to chest, lower abdominals. 30 continuous crossover sit-ups on 45-degree incline, upper abdominals, stretch out my leg calves because I get Charlie horses. And then I do 20 minutes on the treadmill at a level 4.0. It's a 15-minute mile, incline 1. And I'm going to start doing that. I used to do the bike on the other days, but this is my new regimen. And then I got the leg curls for the hamstrings, the quad extensions, 5 sets, the 30-pound dumbbell, bicep curls. I'm staying away from the curling bar because that screws up my elbow. And even before I took my fall, it was because I could feel it. So you gotta adjust things as you age, right? Even on my stretching, I had to sit down and then I had to turn myself over, and it was I had to put my arm behind my back and it killing my rotator cuff. So I've said this before, I get down like a seal and I just roll over and then get on lift myself up. Let's see, then you got the tricep overhead, the French curls. I do 3 sets of that. And then I do standing tricep cable pull downs. That's 50 pounds. Tricep overhead presses, 20-minute bike, level 7. And then I finish up each day with a 20-minute elliptical, level 7. Then I do a final stretch and palms flat on the floor from a standing position. And here's Tuesday, Friday. It's about a 2-hour workout. If I start talking to people, then it's going to go longer than that. Do the full stretching, and that's the same. 4 days a week, that doesn't change. The leg raises, that doesn't change. Crossover sit-ups doesn't change. Stretch, that doesn't change. Treadmill, that doesn't change. Now I do the push-ups. This is for the chest. Fists on the mat, 3 sets of 25. I'm not doing my age anymore. I did 70 at one time. Continuous? No. Since I had the inguinal hernia, I don't need a stroke. And then pull down bar, I do 130 pounds, do 3 sets of 10. Then the over shoulder press, 60 pounds with a straight bar, 3 sets of 10. Standing shoulder shrugs, 45 pounds. And then I do the bent over reverse flies. Then I hit the bike, level 7. Did I put that on the other one? I should do that. Yeah, the bike. Finish up with the bike and the elliptical, then the stretching. So that's a 1-year-old man's fitness routine. You got to find something that works for you, right? Get something that works for you and stay with it and make it daily. And you're going to feel better, live longer, think clearer, and you're going to be more relaxed. Comments? Doc's bringing the business. Oh, you want some more? Oh, I went there this morning. 20 ounces of coffee. They got it on any size coffee. I usually just get the 16, but you know, they're doing a saving, so I got the 20 ouncer. Give me a Wawa.
Give me a Wawa. Wawa. Wawa.
Oh, it was great. And you should have seen the sunrise this morning. I should have taken a photo of it. It was like turquoise, the sun coming up. It was gold, and the people that own the palm trees, you could see in the foreground. It was just beautiful, great in the 70s. No, not exactly. Not exactly. Let's don't put out misinformation on the doc's report. Nippon Steel buying U.S. Steel. That's not what the president tweeted. What did he tweet, Lex? Because I just looked at it. It's a partnership, but it stays in America. What did he do? Let's hang on. Oh man, he's playing hardball with the EU. I love it. I love it. Oh, these are all new. These are all new uploads. What the hell? All right, here it is. Let's share a screen here. Let me get rid of this. Stop screen. Share screen. Share screen. I don't know if you can read that, but I'll read it for you. Donald J. Trump, President. I am proud to announce that after much consideration and negotiation, U.S. Steel will remain in America and keep its headquarters in the great city of Pittsburgh. For many years, the name United States Steel was synonymous with greatness, and now it will be again. This will be a planned partnership between United States Steel and Nippon Steel, which will create at least 70,000 jobs and add $14 billion with a B dollars to the U.S. economy. The bulk of that investment will occur in the next 14 months. This is the largest investment in the history of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. My tariff policies will ensure that steel will once again be forever made in America until the Democrats get in. From Pennsylvania to Arkansas and from Minnesota to Indiana, American made is back, baby. I will see you all at U.S. Steel in Pittsburgh on Friday, May 30th for a big rally. Congratulations to all. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you. Get rid of that. It's going to be June 1st here at the end of next week. June 1st. And he told the EU, okay, things are not going well. You guys are not taking us seriously. So we're going to do 50% tariffs on everything that you bring in here. Now, that's going to get resolved pretty quickly. They got to move some car. The market, and they're not just going to be, well, we'll send them, and the American's not going to buy. Are you going to buy a $100,000 Mercedes that now costs $150,000? You know the tariffs aren't going to last long. But I don't want to really do the politics that much, but it's bad for Beamer prices. I wouldn't buy one anyway. If somebody drove up with a Porsche and they would give it to me, I wouldn't take it. I really wouldn't. Or a BMW. I'm not paying for those service bills. Screw that. Mark's he's out of debt. You paying your home off? You're 50, right? So you're in good shape. You get the house paid off. Get out of debt. You're gonna be in great shape, and you're investing. I looked at I did my scorecard. It did come down somewhat. It's in negative territory, the S&P 500 the first of the year, but I'm above water. I'm like 2,000 in the black for the year. I just look at a yearly thing. And it's going to get resolved, the tariffs, and things will be straightened out. and Canada. Canada's in tough shape. I mean, their policies have just, it's not Donald Trump that's caused all the problems in Canada. They've had all, 10 years of liberalism and, okay, politics. Well, I don't know if that's going to happen. I mean, I think it will happen, but it hasn't happened yet. Mark the doc soon to be an EDMM. I mean, it's a game. I want to hit it. I want to hit the mark. I think it would be cool. I never in my wildest dreams, I would never have thought that was possible. But if you stay with it and you not trading, don't trade and don't try to time the market, just hold it. And that's what I've done. And people that, ooh, he's coming in quick. Look at this. The people are not, they really don't have anything. And they think, people buy stocks for dividends. I don't know. I'm not, to hell with dividends. Not interested in dividends. The money marathon. It is a marathon. Absolutely. And you plan now, do it when you're 50, you're going to have 20, 30 years. But I'm 71, so I'm not buying anymore. But debt-free and doing well. But it's too bad about these other channels. If it wasn't for the money, and they think in their heads that the only way to get money is to present chaos, let everybody on. And there's too many disruptors they let on their stream. They're there for one reason. You got to disrupt. They think it's funny. And then they start collecting a few bucks. It's not worth, it's not the way to go. If you really need that money, you've got to get a job. Forget YouTube. If you got to ruin your mental stability for some cash, then you shouldn't be there. And that applies to everyone. Well, I don't know why everybody thinks that. I'm not interested. I like the view. It's beautiful. It's greens up, and I'm not looking at a block wall. I'm looking. I got it's like a mountain range, or it's something to look at. Doc's living on a golf course. You should play. You are athletic. I'm an athletic 71-year-old, so you have to make choices in life, and I'm not going out walking around in the heat all day or riding a cart around, just hitting a ball into a hole. No. I hit the fitness center. I can get my exercise in 2 hours. It's great. Then I run up to Wawa, get my coffee and a burrito. Oh, man, I had a pulled pork burrito. And usually the other one has egg and the ham. And this was, I thought they were mixing it with the egg, but this was all pork. This was all shredded pork. This was like a meal. I don't think I'll get that again. I like to get the sausage or the ham, they make it that. Then I add extra cheddar cheese on it, but fresh right there, hot, great. And I told you about my tennis elbow, so I may go out there and start swinging the club again, but if I feel anything in my elbow, I'm stopping. It's not worth it. As you age, I mean, you don't want to be in pain. Yeah, I'm pain-free for the moment. Oh, and it's whiskey a go-go today. I get my drink. All right, let's play some clips. What do I got for you today? Okay, a little background on Jason Sands. He had top security clearance. Jason Sands. I guess I should put that in the comments. There he is, Jason Sands, Air Force. He got doxxed by and James Fox, who's been investigating UFOs for decades, took responsibility. He screwed up. It was his fault. But the whistleblower, he became a whistleblower. I tried to find out if he appeared before Congress. He may have done secretly, but I don't know. Let's see, where do I have this? Okay, the whistleblowers are David Charles Grush, Grusch, Matthew Brown, and Jason Sands also, but he's going on podcasts. So let's see what he has to say here. Jason Sands.
Is, you're obviously in the military and then you got transferred over to Area 51. So what was your position before, and tell us how you got this new position that put you into Dreamland?
Just before that, I had been just a simple, frontline analyst, listening to incoming phone calls, listening to radio, telecommunications, and that sort of thing. This was back in the 90s, before cell phones were prevalent and the PC world hadn't taken over yet. So we were doing everything that we could to intercept everything else. But that was called telecommunications monitoring. It's a program within the Air Force. And really what we were trained to do was to go out and do 2-week missions, different parts of the world, all over the United States, all over Europe, to assess the security of people and what they say on the telephones and whatever else they're using to communicate. And then we would brief all of them of our findings on the last Friday of those 2 weeks. And then we would actually give the final report after 90 days. So that's what I was doing before I got entered into the program, which I was doing the same job there, but it was more robust. We would work with OSI teams who were also working within the program to do greater assessment pieces when it came to physical security and getting into facilities, getting on the bases that were part of the program. So that was where things transitioned a bit, but that's how I kind of transitioned from just my day job and started doing things for the program with very similar work. But one I had to keep quiet and under my hat all the time, and the other one was just what everybody knew me as.
And when you say the program, what do you mean by that?
That's the Dreamland program, the legacy program. It's the one where they're doing reverse engineering that everybody talks about. Alien craft might have been in the inventory that they're looking at. That's the program I'm talking about.
And when you got this new position on Area 51, were you aware straight away that this was a legacy UFO program?
Yes, I had been told that that's what it was about, but it was mainly just reverse engineering, in that we would be doing missions, and as we went from mission site to different locations, of course, we would gather more intel, and therefore we'd get smarter about what was going on inside, because we were listening to all the scientists, the leadership, the laboratory environments, everything. Literally, that's what we were listening to, were people that were from those realms. So we got pretty smart pretty quick within that first year of me being on board. The other guys, I don't know how long they've been doing it before I was, so they probably had much more in-depth information than I did, but I was lucky to join them.
So what sort of level of security clearance did you have when you were told about this new position and the details of it?
It was a top secret SCI, or secret compartmented information classification level. I had all the other caveats with, that other people carry that are, SI, TK, all the rest, HTS. This one was above that. This was a Q clearance with a read-in also to a special access program. And so it was above.
Now, what he's really known for is this is the gentleman, while he's working his job, he's on patrol with other people in the vehicle. There are multiple people in the vehicles. They saw something out in the, I get, was it 51? I can't remember where it was, Nellis Air Force Base, or one of the testing ranges. You can research it. He had an encounter with we got a new term here. Extraterrestrial biological entity. And he thought it was just a guy in distress who came up to the window, and this is the thumbnail that I had for the show. It was this guy. Now, it's been colored, but this is based on an artist rendition that he gave him the description. Eyes were big, didn't have any ears, and he came up to the door and he was asking for something, and the other guys were like in shock. And then he'll tell the story. I'm not going to retell you the story, but that's what he's best known for. that an alien actually came up, or an EBE, extraterrestrial biological entity, and then went back to the craft and took off. And he tells that story. So, but he may have some of the details wrong, and he gets criticized a lot. But the bottom line, the point is, the phenomenon. I believe there are crafts and there are encounters with these things for years. And so I'll get rid of that. And he continues.
There's only one thing that is much higher and above any NDA that anybody signs, and that is your responsibility to report fraud, waste, and abuse, or criminal acts and things like this. And that was the other thing that I came to grips with that made me realize, yeah, I'm going to come and talk to Congress about this, because I had just seen in Indonesia where a craft that I knew what it was doing something questionable. And I thought, if they're doing this on God's green earth, what else are they doing? You know, what else are they possibly doing with these craft? And that's when I went forward, because I was like, this is serious. And then after I got to talking to David Grush and some other folks in the UAP community, because my network expanded very quickly, and David, I actually had a heart to heart with him, and I said, Dave, I'd like to think that at some point the people in the program got smarter and they didn't make any bad decisions. I said, is that what you're hearing from these other 40 whistleblowers? And he said, quite frankly, Jay, no, it's gotten worse. And that's when my heart sank. And I was like, there's a lot of people, this is what I thought to myself when I heard that from David. I was like, there's so many good people inside the program that are in a compartmented place that don't know anything about any of this nasty stuff that's going on. And there's only a very few people in leadership inside those parts of the program that are really bad. And that's the travesty that I felt, was like.
Did he say 40 whistleblowers? Can you believe that? Now, I'm going to play a clip on James Fox, who is talking about Jason Sands. And he's going to mention something. What did I do with it? And I want to come up to speed on it. He's going to mention Bent Waters. That references to the Royal Air Force, Bent Waters, England. There was an incident of a alien drone in December 1980. So when he says Bent Waters, that's what he's referring to. So let's listen to, this is kind of like a panel, an orderly panel.
When exactly did Jason Sands come to you and talk about, some of the parts of his story that have been more controversial, the aliens and caves and all that stuff? Like, when did you first hear about that from Jason?
Yeah, so I heard about it because I got contacted from some fellow Intel folks online did you know that Jason Sands is giving an interview and he's making some pretty outrageous claims? I said, no, I didn't know that. As far as I knew, he was not.
When was this? When did this happen?
God, I don't know, maybe a year ago. I'd have to say maybe, I don't know, 9 months ago. I'm not entirely sure. It's all a bit of a blur, especially when I was wrapping up the film at the time. And I remember contacting him and I said, I don't know what you're talking about. And even if it is true, you know that there's nothing more of a credibility killer than making those accusations with zero proof. I said, the encounter is already pushing the envelope extremely. So I don't know what happened or what didn't happen. And I wasn't there, and I'm not here to make any judgments. But just so you know, that's a credibility killer. That's just if you want to just shoot yourself in the face, then yeah, go ahead and keep doing what you're doing. And people have criticized me for saying that to him, but it's A, it caught me out of left field, and B, it's not a credibility enhancer, that's for sure. And I don't know, Like,
Yeah.
I was talking to somebody about it, and they're like, there are engineered memories. And I said, what do you mean by engineered memories? Like, well, people have had memories engineered. So let's just say, and I'm not saying this happened or that it didn't happen. I don't know. But let's just say that perhaps he did have the encounter, and let's just say that he really did do all the things that he said he was doing out there in the desert, and he was aware of all these, operations going on with non-human intelligence, spacecraft, and all that stuff. And if he did decide to go public, is there a possibility that somehow he got manipulated? I mean, I'm convinced that it happened, certainly with some of the witnesses. If you look at Bentwater, from December 1980, you've got a number of witnesses saying one thing, and then you've got another witness talking about something completely outrageous that doesn't align with anything. Like, all the witnesses that I talked to that were, that firsthand witnesses, I don't want to use the individual's name, but did he have an engineered memory so he could obfuscate and throw everybody off the trail and just shroud the whole thing with disinformation? I don't know. I certainly have to look at that as a possibility. Do those allegations certainly bring into question his entire military background? There's no question about it.
Right. Well, and you already had a bunch of work, like it did. These are the breaks, right? I mean, you're a documentary filmmaker about ufology, so I totally get where you're coming from, and I want to thank you for answering that.
But
it was early 2024, right? That you heard that from Jason.
Yeah, I remember I was broadsided by it, that's for sure. But I was the one. It's a long story, man, because I blew his cover. He had no intention of ever coming forward publicly. That was not something he was going to do. In fact, if he was going to ultimately be, featured in the documentary, it was going to be completely disguising his identity, disguising his voice, all of that. And then I accidentally revealed his identity with a post on X with a production still, and on the clipboard, somebody had written his name, and it was my bad. I'm the director. The buck stops with me. It was my screw up. But
James, the fact that you just own that right there says a lot about you. I'll just say that. Thank you for the host. I'll drop down a listener. Thank you, James.
Thank you, UFO Intros.
Yeah, it's totally fine. And so anyway, yeah, it was a tough call.
Oh, can you imagine that? Look at that panel. Now that's an organized panel. They listen. They let the guy talk, and they're not talking over one another. That's the way to do it. And besides the military guys, besides the whistleblowers, there are News Nation, Leslie Keene, a journalist, New York Times journalist.
Grush said in his testimony that he talked to 40 people over 4 years, all of whom had information on a secret military program that has non-human craft and remains. Is it surprising to you that none of those 40 people has spoken out?
It is surprising. It actually isn't, Elizabeth. I mean, some of them have. One of them actually was in our article in the debrief. A former Army colonel named Carl Nell. I think maybe some of them have spoken out a little bit, and we just don't maybe put it all together. But it really isn't surprising because of the repercussions that people face. And Dave Grush is an example of that. He talked a little bit in the hearing yesterday about the repercussions that he's faced, which are very harmful to him, both personally and professionally for speaking out. So I think others have the same concerns, and they've seen it happen to him. They want to wait and make.
You can't see my neighbor's hedge, but it's a monster. And I told him this winter, and he can't even get the stretch across the thing. It's like he just keeps trimming it, but it needs to be cut. And it's like it's a third wider than what mine is. So I told him, I offered that, I'm going to make sure. I said, I'll split the cost with you of picking it up, because it's easy to cut. Not easy, but I can get it cut. I can take off the front third of the hedge. It'll look bad from his view, but and lower it, but it's picking up all the debris. I'm not going to cut it all up and put it in the bags. No way. But I said I'll split it with you to have it taken away. Because now get this, I took the tree out, or I had the tree taken out, right? So he shows me. We go over there, and he looks at the ground. And he says, "Look at this," and one of the roots is starting to sprout up. And now the guy who removed it said that wouldn't happen, but apparently it did. It is happening. So I go down to pull it. He goes, "No, leave it. I want to leave it." So he wants to start the tree again. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm not taking this one out. This is on you. And there was another one, but it's not centered. You can tell it's like a root that came over. But there's another sprout. He's going to be in the same mess, but it's going to be years later. But that's okay. He wants that for whatever reason. I would have pulled it out. But he was going to put something in place. So I'm going to clarify with him on the hedge. And if he gives me permission, I'll explain it, what I'm going to do. And then I'll get some help from the crew that did my hedge or did the rock, what they charged to haul it out. And while I got him here, I may even ask him if they do the whole thing. And then I won't even have to be bothered. But I won't tell him about it. So I'll first say, well, what would you charge, to haul it away if I cut it? And then I'll say, well, what would you charge if you had to cut it the way way I want it cut? And I just may pay it, because I am in an EDMM or near one. It's like, and then he gets back. It's, he can't have, it's above. He's got some money, but he spends it on the grandkids. He doesn't like spending it on stuff that doesn't go to the grandkids or his family. And he's a veteran, so, I'll decide. All right, let's get back to the clips. Leslie Keene, News Nation, she's got more to say.
What I find interesting is, you broke the story in the New York Times years ago about the government having a secret UFO program, and then they ended up coming out and saying, yes, we do have that. But I'm just still surprised, and I still can't quite wrap my mind around why more mainstream media is not covering the David Grush whistleblower story, especially with Marco Rubio coming forward, and there now being official government hearings being planned. And even last night, we did the story with the Harvard scientist who found those items on the ocean floor that they're testing, that he says is nothing like that has ever been found before. They've never found metals, or I can't remember exactly what word he used, but anything like it, it's from another world, basically, is what he said. And even that doesn't make big news. And that's a Harvard scientist. I still don't really understand it, Leslie, how this isn't in more newspapers and, on more TV stations.
I mean, it's a great question, Brian. I just want to make sure to mention that the New York Times story was not just my story, but I broke it with Ralph Blumenthal and Helene Cooper, just to get their names out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it is interesting to me that the top mainstream media have not come to this story yet. And I think there is still a lot of stigma. They're nervous about it. Some of them are very skeptical about the topic to begin with. And when you're talking about possible proof that we're not alone, you're talking about crashed objects that are made by a non-human intelligence. That's a pretty extreme statement for anybody to make. But
don't they have the cover now?
Caution.
Don't they have the cover now, though, now that you have Marco Rubio on the record and you have Congress people literally saying on TV, we're planning hearings? I mean, it seems like it would be easy for them now. They don't even have to do any work.
I know. I mean, one thing I have noticed after, working with some of these media over the years is that they don't like to cover things unless they have something exclusive for them, that's new. So if a story is all over the internet that, let's say, Marco Rubio made certain statements and it's been picked up everywhere, they won't necessarily want to repeat it.
That's very close. They want the ratings. They want the money. Nobody, and the public, first of all, they don't trust the government. If the government would just release a statement, hey, the UFOs are real. Well, they told us about, other things that were real, or health issues, I don't want to say the word. And so they're not going to believe it. And they want the ratings. They want the money. They'll put on air what makes money for them. Or they have a political agenda, that somebody else is paying for them to run the stories. But it's follow the money, like YouTube, follow the money. It's all about the money. Now, she mentioned the scientist, or that News Nation mentioned the scientist. So I've shown you the whistleblower, a journalist, and now there is a scientist involved, Avi Loeb, I should spell that, Aviloeb, and this is what he has to say.
The meteorite that these came from crashed in 2014, and based on the speed and direction of origin, in a 2019 paper, yourself and Harvard undergrad student Amir Siraj calculated with 99 to 39% certainty that IM-1 had traveled to Earth from another star, making this a true interstellar object, right? So from the beginning, it's basically doing the science to determine this didn't come from within the solar system.
I should add that this is the first object that humans identified as coming from outside the solar system. The other object that is widely known is Oumuamua, but that was discovered in October 2017, almost 4 years later. And the way I came across this meteor was because I was interviewed in January 2019 for a radio in New York City, a radio station, and it was about a meteor that was spotted just a month earlier in December 2018 over the Bering Sea. And in trying to learn about it, I saw this catalog that NASA compiled of meteors with velocity information. So I asked my undergraduate student, because I was very much intrigued by Oumuamua, to check this catalog and see whether there is any fast-moving object, and we found this meteor.
Oh, really? Back to the pretty golf course. So the science is involved, scientists are involved, and I guess the speed of that meteor let them know that it was not from our solar system. Okay, back to Avi Loeb. Now we got to get Australia involved in this, because where did that meteor hit? It hit down under in the ocean.
A Harvard professor believes a meteor that crashed off the coast of Australia nearly a decade ago may actually be an alien spacecraft.
Oh, wow. Astrophysicist Avi Loeb is planning a $2.2 million expedition to retrieve the mysterious object, and he's hoping it might help answer whether we're alone or not in the universe.
Joining us now is astrophysicist and Harvard professor himself, Avi Loeb. Good morning to you. What do you expect to find off Australia's northern coast?
Well, the meteor was discovered in 2014 by the US government, about 100 miles off the coast of Papua New Guinea. And the material of it is tougher than iron, based on the data. So the question is whether it's just an unusual rock, or perhaps a spacecraft from another civilization. I was able to receive full funding for this expedition to Papua New Guinea, and we will scoop the ocean floor and figure out the composition of the object. I already promised the curator of the Museum of Modern Art in New York City that if we find any gadget, I'll put it on display there.
Oh. Hang on, that's Australian property. We might have something to say about that. But at the time, US Space Command reported that it was just a meteor. Were they telling fibs? Because they've only recently come out and been more open about UFOs, haven't they?
Yes, they did. But in this case, it was US government sensors that detected an object that entered the atmosphere. They're monitoring the sky for any ballistic missiles for national security purposes. And they could just see a fireball and the speed by which the object moved. And that indicated that it came from outside the solar system. So they don't really know what it is, and that's what we plan to figure out.
So do you believe aliens exist?
Oh, definitely. We now know that most of the stars, like the sun, formed 5 billion years before the sun. So there was plenty of time for any civilization next to them, and there are tens of billions of them in the Milky Way galaxy alone. There was plenty of time for them to send probes that would reach us, even if they were propelled by chemical rockets. And out of cosmic modesty, we should assume that we are not the smartest kid in our cosmic neighborhood, and we can learn from them. The only way to find out, this is not a philosophical question, we just need to look up and down as well in the ocean floor.
What would an alien look like? Is there any movie you think has got close? Do they look like E.T. or anything like that? Travel through interstellar space would be very difficult for biological creatures. We were designed to survive on a rock like the Earth by natural selection, but artificial intelligence systems could in principle navigate through space for a very long time, and they could survive the hazardous conditions of interstellar space. So the way I imagine it is some equipment that is far more advanced than what we possess, because they had more than a century to develop their science and technology. And, we could learn from that. It would give us a sort of a sense of what our future might be like. Okay.
Gee, okay. Well,
like a flying robot. Hey, when you arrive, we'll chat again. As you're out here.
I will be delighted to I'll be delighted to let you know what we find.
Good.
Yes.
Yes, and show us. That would be. You could just bring one in.
Yeah, would love that.
No, I'm not sure I want that future. But I won't be around. So let me, no comments. Okay, then put another name. Let me put that scientist name. And he did go back there, New Guinea, and he did find material. And you can search online for him. There's his name right there. Harvard professor, Avi Loeb. Let's see, 15 people watching across 3 platforms. That isn't very good. I mean, people are not really, especially the Archieverse types, they want chaos. That's all it is, chaos, and just have a good time. That's, I try to bring you material, but I do some work on this channel. I just don't show up. And if I had somebody make me trailers and then I show you the trailers, that's not content. That's not the animation. That's not really content, is it? All right, now where do we go? Hang on. I have to look for something. Audio, here we go. Now I got to set this up. I have to set this up. Oh, you know who George Knapp is, right? And well, he sat down with a Mr. John Lear. Now, this is 1989. All right. And back in 1989, I'm sure it sounded really far-fetched. So I took out some clips, but you can find it on YouTube. It doesn't sound so far-fetched today. But he may not get the details right. I mean, there's how many years has that been? 1989, 38 years, 40 years ago. So he was researching, and people were talking back then, but, they didn't want to give their names. But he did his own work, and he's, clip number 1.
There's at least 70 different species, and probably more. But yes, as odd as it sounds, there are little green men. That's not the ones we usually see, though. We see the little gray ones. They're about 4.5 feet tall. And we see the ones that are called the Nordics. They're about 7 feet tall, look like us, but they're invariably blonde hair and blue-eyed. They're one of the species that we have on ice. One of their crashes we recovered.
Now, I don't know who knows of 70 species. That seems a little high to me, but the point is, and they're on ice, I believe that. And here we go. Now this is 1989. EBEs, extraterrestrial biological entities.
Well, the whole thing started in July 2nd, 1947. That was the first crash.
First crash of an alien spaceship.
Of an alien spaceship. July 6th is when they recovered it and sent it to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. July 7th is when they held the press conference and told the people it was a weather balloon, which the press bought hook, line, and sinker. September of that year, President Truman established MJ-12, and the purpose of that was to study the saucers and cover up the existence of UFOs.
And you say we recovered alien bodies from that incident, right?
4 from that particular crash, yes.
And what'd they do with them?
They autopsied them. Dr. Detlef Bronk was the chief surgeon, so to speak. He was the one that named them EBEs. It stands for extraterrestrial biological entities. And we captured 3 live EBEs. They were numbered in their order of capture: EBE-1, EBE-2, and EBE-3.
Where did we capture? Where did this happen?
In different crashes. EBE-1 lived with an Air Force colonel between 1949 and 1952. The EBEs are kept in an electromagnetic facility called a YY-2. It was designed by a Dr. Eric Wang, who worked directly for Dr. Kissinger, who has been in this cover-up since the very beginning. The reason they had to create an electromagnetic facility is the fact that the EBEs are so advanced, they're at least 500 million years advanced from us, and probably more. They can move by thought.
Move by thought.
And they can also disappear. But they can't move by thought through electromagnetic facilities. So they built this facility. There was 2, one in Los Alamos and one either at Edwards or up at the test site.
At Groom Lake, Nevada.
At Groom Lake. Now there's still one EBE still living, EBE-3, and there is a videotape that eventually is going to be released to the public, and it's an interview with him. As hard as that may sound, as hard as that may be to believe, there is a videotape of an interview with EBE-3.
And what is this language that the interviewers are?
I haven't seen the tape, so I don't know. But on this trip I told you I took gathering all this information, a guy in Albuquerque handed me 25 secret CIA memos. And if anything can be humorous in all of this, one of these memos, in the body of the text, it said, by the way, EBE-3 wants to see the ocean. We better make the arrangements or he'll disappear again. So while he couldn't get out of this facility, he could make himself disappear and cause him a lot of trouble.
He wants to get to the ocean to get away, to call for his friends. But isn't that interesting? Is all of that true? I don't know. But he said they move by thought, but so do you. You know, if I'm gonna move my right arm off the table here, I have to think it first. That's a voluntary movement. It begins with thought. So why I change your life and you got to change your thinking. Right? You get up every day and you serve up a platter of woe is me and nothing good, and that's your life. You've just created your life. Your movement, your life is by thought. Very powerful, because it goes into the consciousness. And there's the subconscious, and it hears this. It acts upon it. All right, let's go, Mr. Lear, give us the bottom line.
George, basically what we're dealing with here is, I'll give you the bottom line.
Okay,
I'm not trying to sell it.
I want to hear your thesis.
I'm not trying to sell a book. I'm not trying to promote a lecture. This is based on what I've come across after intense research in the last year. And I have found out that the government has retrieved between 10 and 15 actual flying saucers, 3 of which have been in perfect condition, 1 of which they tried to fly. They have between 30 and 50 alien bodies in cryogenic storage. We even have the name of the person whose job it is to show these bodies to the heads of state and the people who are authorized to see them. They represent at least 5 different civilizations.
5 different civilizations. Remember, this is 1989. To me, it doesn't sound that far-fetched now. We got these whistleblowers, and they're showing the radar lock-ons and everything. And the Air Force, they have a physics book, and he talks about it.
Let me take a look. Let me read to you first what the Air Force says about the bodies. First of all, I'm going to read from the Introductory Space Science, Volume 2, Department of Physics, United States Air Force. This is Chapter 13, Unidentified Flying Objects. Now, this is what the Air Force has the students at the Air Force Academy read. And it says, the most commonly described alien is about 3.5 feet tall, has a round head, arms reaching to or below his knees, and is wearing a silvery spacesuit or coveralls. Other aliens appear to be essentially the same as Earthmen, while still others have particularly wide wrap-around eyes and mouths with very thin lips. And there is a rare group reported to be about 4 feet tall, weight of around 35 pounds, and covered with thick hair for clothing. Members of this last group are described as being extremely strong. Now, I'm not making this up. This is an Air Force. You can pick out an Air Force physics book and read this stuff. And at the end of the chapter, they go on to say, this leads us to believe in the unpleasant possibility of alien visitors to our planet, or at least of alien-controlled UFOs.
1989. Now, this is probably my favorite clip, because I think it's true today. Why doesn't President Trump just come out and make an announcement? You know, he's transparent. Why? I think Mr. Lear nailed it back in 1989.
Let's say that the president decided to make an announcement. This is, if he made it today, this is what I think that he would say. My fellow Americans, I come to you before you tonight with an announcement of great importance. Despite all our denials, flying saucers do in fact exist. Where they come from, we do not know. Who is in them, we do not know. Where they are from, we do not know, nor do we know how they got here or what they want. We are unable to duplicate any of the metals found on the several craft we have recovered, nor are we able to figure out how they are propelled. We have hidden these facts from you over the past 40 years in hopes that we could give you more answers. Unfortunately, we are no closer to answers today than we were 40 years ago. God bless you all.
And then tack on another 38 years. Or do they know? Well, I hope I'm around, especially if they release a video and they're chatting with one. I'd like to see that. I would like to see that. No comments, for heaven's sakes. Nothing. What else have I got for you? Well, that's all the clips. All the clips. What's the temperature out there? 93 degrees. Oh, God. I'm not going there. 34 degrees Celsius. Terrible. 41% humidity. It's not going to rain today. Let's check. Check the weather. 95. Wow. Okay, I'm going to be here I'm going to do an hour and a half regardless. I think I've covered everything. I do my homework, give you information you can look up yourself too, if you're interested in it. As I've said, my bicycle's been prepped for the most. I got the. All I got to do now is a tire pressure, and I got to get my riding gear together. I think I'm going to get some bike shorts too, some kind of biking shorts. We discussed Jason Sands, Leslie Kern, Avi Loeb, John Lear. But that was interesting. If you think about it, when Mr. Lear said these EBEs, they move by thought. Well, so do you. You can't move without thinking. You can't move when you're asleep. You have to make a decision. Everything is what you think. You think you're a loser? Guess what? You're going to have a loser life. If you're an underachiever, you think like an underachiever, you're going to be an underachiever. If you think you're going to make it, if you tell yourself, I don't know how, but I'm not giving up, I'm going to hang in there, you're going to find yourself on a golf course someday, maybe. It's all about what you think. I used to have a guy, I don't know if I can even pronounce that. I used to drive a bus with, the younger bus drivers, and he'd go to the fitness center, and he'd go, Lex, what are you trying to do? You're trying to be something you're not? Why do you... And it's like, hold it. What do you mean something? Who decides what I am, what I'm not? Of course, I'm not Mr. Olympia, but I can't work out. I can't be the best I can be. Mark T. Jordana makes nice jerseys. Well, it's with all these seniors running around down here. It's pretty scary. So I got to be seen. So I got reflective vests. That's number one. And I got my light. I got a backlight on there that's blinking red, but still. And I've told you this. I'm going to get in the golf cart lane because the rules say that the golf course, if you've got a wheeled vehicle, you go with traffic. And I'm going to be in the golf lane. I'm not going to get right next to the curb. I'm not going to go crashing in the curb. I'm going to just be in the center of the golf cart lane. And when these elderly senior, coming 30 miles an hour behind me, I'm slowing down. You can pass, or you can come up, and if you honk or whatever, I'm not. It's not my job to keep. There is no flow of traffic there. Now, if you're walking, you got to face traffic, okay? But I don't want to get knocked off my bike either. But what you think determines your life. Well, you don't understand, Lex. I was born here. Oh, give me a break. When I was born there, I never, okay. So learn. Get out there. Be on the dance floor. Have a good attitude. Nothing good is going to happen to you just sitting on your ass. And you learn by doing. Okay, what else? Any topics? Anything you want me to cover? Let's see. I got to look at what I'm going to start deleting here. I could do it after the show. AD never calling. Good day, Doc. Well, good evening or good day to you, sir. AD never calling, ladies and gentlemen. Playboy. I can't. You're sucking me back into covering Archie. I can't. I'll cover the damage that he's done, especially these channels that are around him. They're all about the money. Every one of them. Now, one of them doesn't make any money. He tries, but he doesn't make any money. He's still in there, so it's about something else. But all of them, I don't want to mention names. And then the chaos. I get chaos raises money. They call it drama, but I've decided it's not drama. It's chaos. It's mayhem and chaos. But Playboy been too long. I can't go back there. I just can't. I got to be proud of what I'm putting up here. Mark T, add AC3 to the other strange space beings. He is strange. No, he's not strange. He's an undiagnosed personality disorder. He has disease. He has a sickness. What the termites are doing to his house, this illness has done to him, eating him up. That's my observation. I'm not picking on the guy. I don't think in my mind I ever picked on him. I'm just trying to educate those around him. By giving an undiagnosed personality money, you're not helping them. It's like an alcoholic. If somebody gives an alcoholic money, you're not helping them. Unless you actually go pay his bills physically. He gets the money, he's going to drink. AD never calling topics. Your thoughts on Eddie's mental state? TW's thievery and Keslow's claim that Tan shredded Curly. That one I don't know. I think the number one troll in the universe, the Archieverse, is Tanzil. Without Tanzil, because nobody will go after him at all, because he's got the money. I don't need the money. But if he would just go away, just pull the plug. Then Archie would have to go to work, maybe get therapy, and these other guys should go to work if you need money that bad. Eddie's mental state. Eddie's a convicted criminal. Look it up. What do I got to go find him? And you should read some of this. Here it is. Well, I forgot how to spell his last name. But he went to trial. Go look what he got convicted of. But he's mental state. I just tuned out. I can't watch it. I can't watch him. I can't watch others, and all of them. The chaos. Those people that come on some of those streams are there to distract, to their shtick, or is just to cause mayhem. They're just, and I'm not going to put up with it. And I think if the channel owners that would, have some system of muting people, and then, or having one on at a time. I guess you could have a panel, but it's too bad StreamYard doesn't hook something up where you can just, put a light on and to hear from people, because it just destroys the show. That I don't follow. I don't know about. So that's Keslow. I'm not sure about that. AC3 wire. AC's wire needs therapy too. Don't know why she put. Oh, wife. Yeah. Well, I don't know if she's even home. I don't know what that is going on there. Can't type today. Tell me about it. Oh, plus you have autocorrection. That's tough. 1 hour, 22 minutes. Whiskey a go-go. I did get the wash done. The bedding is done. Good shape. I had a list of things to do. I got another ring to sell. I think, what do I have to do? Because I do have a to-do list. But some stuff I put down here later, Oh, I don't even want to do that. I was going to give somebody some dental advice on billing, but I'm not sure I should even do that. Well, thank you. You're welcome, and thank you. Thanks for the effort, Docs. Not into the UFO stuff as much, but you do it well. Well, I try to bring you some information. Prepare yourself. I think at some point, or if they make a move or whatever they want, plus there's some like hieroglyphics associated with them, and for some reason I think, well, that maybe they're. How could they be from Earth? How could they be hiding here? Are they hiding in plain sight, or they? And even NASA has some photos of the moon, some like structures, or even on Mars and that. But they don't like to show. That could be structures, or could be, if you're into it. But I just want to know what I need to know. Do I think they're real? Not every case, but yeah, I do. It does interest me, but I got to switch gears at some point. I got to find something else now. Stephen L. Hi, Docs. Do you get to take your shirt off to let the sun get to your... No, I take vitamin D every day. Vitamin D every day. Everybody should do that. Research it. 50 micrograms. I take a gel cap. And I take a multiple vitamin. I cut it in half, and I take it every other day. And then I take... I got a statin, 10 milligram, which is pretty light. And then and that gets my lipid panel in order. I take allopurinol. I haven't had any gout since then. I get sun out there working on the hedge, but I have a shirt on. I show my arms. I have my legs. Actually, the way to do it is I boot up, though I told you that, but I put on a swimsuit and a T-shirt. But I told my neighbor, I offered, we'll see what he says, Because I'm going to explain to him, his hedge is a monster, and I'm going to radically cut the thing. And that's what it needs to be done. Because he just keeps trimming, just trim. And he's got trees growing in the middle of it that, they're trying to hit the sun, or palm trees, Chinese sumac. So that stuff has to be dug out of there. I run around with my arms showing, but I put sunscreen on my nose and some on the back of my neck. I got the air conditioning running. It's set at 80. But I closed off the lanai because I don't want the heat, coming into the main body of the house. I just think it's a shame these channels just can't get if you're going to blame anybody, you got to blame the person that owns the channel, that's running the channel. But when you want the money and they think the way to success is to do it the way Archie did, just let everybody on and make sure Tanzil likes you and make sure Tanzil, he really calls a shot. You got to be friendly to everybody. No, there's some disruptors. All they do is disrupt. You got to get them out of there. But it's your show. Get to do it the way you want. One hour, 27 minutes. I'm going to play some outro music while I delete some stuff. Stephen L., have you seen my Lone Ranger clip? Mark, have you seen my Lone Ranger clip? AD Never Calling, have you seen my Lone Ranger clip? Anybody who has... Oh, yes, okay. I can't play it then, if you've seen it. I'm going to keep that one. I'm going to save that one. And I got a copyright... Hi-oh, Hardy Docs report. I got a copyright notice, apparently from that. Tano, you're talking about tickers, my Indian companion, as we ride across YouTube. So I got a copyright notice, but it says the guy allows it. I guess it's a special orchestra that did it, so. Who is your J? I told you, tickers. It's tickers. At least that's what it is in the clip. What blades are you using, Docs? I've got them in there. I can't think of the name. They're out of, I can't think of the name. But it's great. I'm shaving twice a week. Then I go over it with a Norelco razor. I had a dental appointment on Wednesday. So I go in there. He doesn't, he taught, something, it could be Astra. I can't remember. It's blue, kind of some blue color to it. I haven't tried the Japanese one. There's the one that's really sharp. I haven't tried that one yet. So I got the dental appointment, but the guy showed me how to. I think he's an anti-Trumper. So I got to be careful, I think, because he said something about that he's going on vacation. And I said, where are you going? He said, I'm going to go to the museums back in Washington, D.C. Like, I guess he's talking about the Smithsonian, and before they close. Well, I haven't heard of anybody closing museums, so I didn't want to discuss it with him. And then he said, I told him, he said, well, how you been? I go, well, let's see, I've had COVID and I've had surgery. But he was telling me that I should get an EKG because I had COVID. Like somehow that affected my heart. And I'm thinking, I take a stress test 4 days a week by my workout. It's like, I feel fine. I think it could be Wilkinson. Try Wilkinson Sword Salon Pack from India. Great, and 7 cents per blade. Wow. I kind of like a blade that's been used a little bit because I don't like it sharp. Because I'm now shaving where I get, and I love that balm that you recommend, because if you get a little close, you like a little red on the skin, it just stops any of the bleeding. So I enjoy that. Nivea. That's right, Nivea. And I bought 3 bottles. I thought, well, these are sure small bottles, but it only takes a little dab, and it just like goes everywhere on your face. Oh, there was George Knapp. I've been using those shaving soap samples from that place you recommended, and that's my go-to now. And it's lasting a long time. It lathers up great. I got that brush you recommended and that Sterling Soap Company, shave company. I've got some of that left, and I just have it in the bottom of a small porcelain bowl, and I just whip it up right there. Mark T. Sterling, great mom and pop company, former military. He makes some good stuff. Stephen L., just watch your Lone Ranger clip, Docs. It is included in the Franchise Club's long intro. Well, he gave me a shout out. I thought he was going to, so thanks for the shout out, Curly. Oh, I know what I was going to ask. And maybe you guys can tell me. I will mention some names. JB is on a crusade at one time against Watch Nicholas. I mean, big time. And now he's on a crusade against Curly. But so I'm going over the Watch Nicholas channel to see the chaos, and there's JB. So they must have made up, right? I didn't think that was going to happen. I mean, according to JB, at one time, Watch Nicholas was a real pariah. I mean, he was a terrible person, what he did to JB, and now he's over on the channel. So who knows? Things can happen. Well, let's play the Lone Ranger clip. I want to play it. Brace yourself, ladies and gentlemen. Brace yourself. There it is. The Lone Docs Report. And Tonto, that'd be tickers. A fiery Mac with the speed of light, a cloud of interstellar dust, and a hearty, I am not an animal! The Lone Docs Report. As I give, so shall I receive. As I take, so it shall be taken from me. It doesn't matter what I think. What do you think? If you want to change your world, your day-to-day experiences, you must man up. Change your thinking. Docs Report. Leadership, discipline, diligence, integrity, civility. My trusty Indian companion tickers, as we ride the plains of YouTube, searching for truth and honesty, and we lead by example. The Lone Ranger. Leadership, discipline, diligence, integrity, civility, right call in the saddle, self-respect, character matters. Hi-O Silver, away! Yeah, I'll get another copyright notice, but it's just a notice. That's okay. It was worth it. Hi-O Silver away, absolutely. Okay, let's see. I think we should end it here. Whiskey A Go-Go, 1 hour, 40 minutes.
What's wrong with you people?
I'm not appearing on anybody's show with this retard.
Nothing wrong with me. It's you people.
I'm not appearing on anybody's show with this retard.
What's wrong with you people?
I'm smart and I want to